So what kind of basics should we be aware of when it comes to contracts?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's important to understand that both oral and written contracts can be enforceable. But I am a huge proponent, and the soapbox I will always stand on is having written contracts for your business. I think it just forms the backbone for your relationship. I mean, if you talk about boundaries, if you think, I'm going to give an example. So let's say you are in the market for an OBM. And so you get some referrals and you reach out and you have one that you're messaging with on Facebook, and they say, okay, here is my monthly cost, PayPal me the money, and away we go. And you have another one where after having maybe, an initial kind of meet and greet phone call, they send you a very detailed contract that lays out the terms, what you're supposed to be paying, when you're supposed to be paying it, if you guys do have a dispute, what jurisdiction it's heard in, if there's an extra hourly charge for rush matters or something that you're doing on the weekends or outside of your normal business hours. I mean, all those little details that typically don't come up until after you're in the relationship, knowing those ahead of time and being able to read through them. I mean, who are you going to feel more comfortable hiring? The one that's giving you the outline about how that relationship's going to go, or the one that's just saying, hey, PayPal me some money? I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, but I think that we think that, and I personally have seen that on many occasions where clients have engaged in business relationships with people where it was seemingly that simple in terms of the PayPal of the money, but no details whatsoever. And then in many cases, the person ghosted them, and now they're like, well, I've paid this person, there's no scope of work, or there was no real understanding of where that work was, when it was going to take place, when was it going to be delivered. But then you're only left with like an email address where you feel like you're kind of chasing down this person for something, and they honestly don't have to respond to you. But I do have a follow-up. Jurisdiction. All right. Since we're in this online space, okay, like you're California, I'm Maryland. Okay. I have a client who is in New York. I have another one who is in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so I do put Maryland in my detailed contracts. How is that? I guess I'll ask the question that I think I hear a lot in some online circles. Is this contract really enforceable?
Yes. And I'm going to give a very attorney answer and say it depends.
Thank you, Nicole. So what does it depend on?
It is factually specific, right? But typically in a contract that is presented in advance, both parties sign, it's negotiated. If you are electing for jurisdiction, so let's say a dispute arises for some reason, for non-payment, for whatever it may be, and you have to file a lawsuit, the jurisdictional provision typically provides where that's being filed, right? Mm-hmm. So normally, if a dispute arises, you're supposed to be chasing the defendant, i.e. the wrongdoer, and filing near them. So that's why, for me, I always say include that jurisdictional provision, because you don't want to have to chase them to a different state and hire an attorney in a different state. You want it to be as easy as possible for you. And this is where that kind of cost benefit analysis comes in, right? Because sometimes you may have a breach of contract or non-payment. Maybe the cost of chasing it down, even if you have a contract, may outweigh the peace of mind of just chalking it up as a business lesson and letting it go. Mm-hmm. If you have I'm just going to pull a number out of thin air, like a $20,000 dispute because it's a, high ticket client or offer that you sold, and they've just basically ghosted you and you've started work and there's a huge outstanding, it may make sense to chase after them. And having that dispute heard near you with attorneys that potentially you've worked with before because they're around you, so you have somebody, that you can pick up the phone and call them for your business dispute, it makes the process, I don't want to say completely, stress-free, but less stressful for you, right? So I am a huge proponent of having those types of provisions and contracts, especially in the online space, because we are global, right? I mean, you could be working with clients in the UK, in Australia. I mean, they're so spread out, and every country's laws are different. Right. So, and it's important to even acknowledge in the United States that every state's contract law is slightly different, which makes it fun. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just appreciate that because literally these are conversations that take place in some of the circles that I'm in, and whether or not, and I appreciate that wisdom that you do have to weigh it because sometimes it isn't worth it to go ahead and pursue that. But if there is a high ticket client or a larger amount of money that makes that worthwhile, you want to have that written contract on your side, and so to speak, by actually having one in place rather than not having one in place. So that is super helpful. All right. So let's talk about these contracts. We talked about one of like working with someone, kind of like another independent contractor or something. What other kinds of contracts do we need as an online business owner?
Yeah. So I think that the ones that are kind of, buzzwords in the online space would be a privacy policy, terms and conditions, and terms of use. And so if you have an online business, like period, end of story, you need a privacy policy. It's a non-negotiable. It is legally required under both GDPR, which is European Union law, as well as California laws. And every state is starting to kind of enact their own laws, although California is the fun one. I mean, it's the most encompassing. So it is required. I mean, period. You want to make sure that you're disclosing what personal information you're collecting from your clients and your customers and what you're doing with it. I think we've all kind of just seen the cookie notices. We were all bombarded with the emails from businesses asking for you to re-agree to be on the mailing list. And really just knowing the heart of it is this data privacy legislation that has become a huge, huge part of the legal world in the past years, because of terrible, terrible marketing practices. And consumers are really finally saying, stop. Like, I don't want to be bombarded with telemarketing and email marketing and all these things that I didn't sign up for and I'm, trying to opt out of, and they're ignoring me. So if you haven't heard the word privacy policy, this is something you definitely want to look into.
So just so we know though, and not to cut you off before the terms of service, terms of use, is this the same policy that would be on our websites, or is this in addition to that, or are they kind of one and the same?
Well, as an online business, typically they're one and the same. It is on your website. So it has to be conspicuously posted on your website. And that means in, bold font that stands out. Obviously, you don't want to have it be like gray on a black background. So it's like just blending in. And there is a lot of nuance to what should be in your privacy policy, and in terms of kind of disclosing. So it's definitely something, it's a lot for us to go into today, but just knowing again that you're disclosing what you're collecting, what you're doing with it, and having your website viewers affirmatively agree to your privacy policy is key. And so I think we've all visited websites now where the little thing pops up that talks about cookies. But I think the best online business example I can give is, let's say you have your freebie, be that your free webinar, a downloadable something on your website, right, to collect email addresses. If you're collecting that email address, that is personal information under both the European Union law and under, US law. So I am a huge proponent of having you actually link your privacy policy and your terms and conditions, we'll talk about in a minute, but link your privacy policy there so that they actually have to say, I've read and I agree to it. So they can't come back and say later, I had no idea, or try and make issues, because more and more data privacy legislation is including these kind of private rights of action, and they're tied to breaches. But that's a whole other topic, is data breaches and being careful. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I feel like I'm one of those people, just in I think it was Home Depot, Target, like a few years ago when that kind of data breach happened, I was just like, okay, I need a new card again. And would never, it's like one of the things, I went to Home Depot literally, I think, to pick up something for my husband, used my card, and then they were hacked. I was just like, really, I don't even go to Home Depot, So, but I love that in terms of just understanding, because breaches are happening more frequently. And what are we doing to protect that data?
Yep.
I do wonder if some of us, we feel like, oh, we're small, or we're only working with a few clients or something. But you're absolutely right. Like, we actually do have personal information in our, computers and databases and things that actually needs to be protected.
And that's why I'm such a huge proponent of getting a cyber insurance policy in place as an online business. I think that is part of like a required business expense in today's day and age. If you're online, it's a good fail safe. So.
Okay. So terms of conditions or terms of service, terms of use. Okay, guys, did you get that? I'm still blown away right now from the privacy part. So talk to me about these.